ada masa kita rasa tak selesa, rasa nak marah, rasa sedih pun ada, dan rasa defensif. Macam, apa ni tanya-tanya macam ni, betul tak?
I remember being lost for words 1 or 2 times. Sebab ada kalanya rasa kita nak just pick up the kid and just leave.
Say because kanak-kanak dia belum lagi memegang prejudice terlalu lama. Right? So kita ada peluang untuk mengubah fikiran.
And the borderline of being rude to bullying, that is the degree. Some other we are there to role model, to guide. Itulah responsi kami.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. Another episode of Kita Family Podcast. Di Kita Family Podcast, kita meraihkan neurodiversity kerana setiap minda unik, setiap cerita bermakna dan setiap keluarga ada kisahnya. Saya Didi, merakamkan dari Kota Kinabalu. Bersama saya dalam rakaman kali ini adalah 3 orang my sisters. Ada Nori.
Assalamualaikum.
Adit.
Hello.
Dan kakak SK.
Apa khabar?
Topik malam ni kan, untuk ketahui semua, hari ni rakaman di waktu malam. So malam ni kita nak bercakap tentang this creature yang comel. Boleh agak tak? Apa yang kita nak cakap ni? Apa topik kita malam ni?
Topik mengenai kanak-kanak.
Oh, macam Doraemon. Kanak-kanak. Selalu kita bercakap tentang anak-anak kita sendiri yang sudah ada diagnosis kan. Kita cerita panjang lebar daripada anak kita dapat diagnosis hingga anak kita dah pergi sekolah, anak kita pergi terapi. Tapi hari ini kita nak bercakap melalui perspektif yang berbeza, iaitu kanak-kanak lain. Sebab kanak-kanak ni dia punya perspektif, dia punya pandangan, dia punya pemikiran dan juga dia punya mulut. Kata-kata dia berbeza kan.
Cakap terus je lah, kita nak cakap pasal mulut budak-budak.
Mulut budak-budak bila berkenaan dengan anak-anak kita.
Anak-anak tipikal lah. Anak comel.
Anak-anak tipikal.
Yang tak ada tapisnya.
Yang tak ada tapisnya.
Belum ada tapis lagi. Betul.
No filter.
Ada contoh tak? Contoh macam mana tu?
Auntie, why is not talking? Auntie, why you don't want to play with me?
And ada pun dia akan komen kenapa the headphone on all the time? Why Whereas I can't have my headphone on, kan?
Oh, that's another angle juga. Kalau dia bertanyakan sesuatu kerana macam nampak seolah-olah anak kita ni ada kelebihan. Ada special dia tak dapat.
Favoritism.
Right? So sometimes it's like that. I think yang pernah dengar, like I think on our end is like, kenapa tangan dia macam tu? You know? Like because of the flapping and things like that. And actually there was this one incident, kawan keluarga actually, kawan lama, anak dia ketika tu berumur, I think sudah jadi remaja, belum remaja lagi, I think maybe about 11 or 12 years old. Dia nampak anak saya Timur, bila masuk bilik where we were all, I think we were all in the living room dekat rumah saya lah, dekat rumah Nuri, and then Timur datang. So bila dia datang dekat-dekat dengan saya, dia letak muka dia memang dekat dengan muka saya hingga dahi kita bersentuh. So it's like he's saying hello, and his way of saying hello is to come and kind of bump my head. You know, dia letak muka dia betul-betul dekat dengan dahi dia pada dahi saya. And buat dia punya steaming sound juga. So he's like dekat-dekat, he's like ning ning ning, and that's like a Timor happy sound, this ning 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 thing we call it, and that's how we type it. So dia datang sekejap, and then after that he walked away. Dia tak ada cakap hello mama ke apa-apa. Actually I think dia tak menyebut apa-apa perkataan pun. But that's what he did. That was like a greeting lah actually. And then anak kawan saya ni, another boy, dia nampak muka dia terkejut. And then it's like, ugh. So for him it was like a bit of a cringe moment. He didn't know what was going. He was like, ew. And I could see that his face was very confused, and I think he was like a bit like upset. Memang sebetulnya dia macam terkejut actually. So dia nak tanya saya, tapi dia pun macam berat nak tanya, tapi dah tahulah macam dah benda yang bunyi yang menunjukkan bahawa dia memang tak apa-apa sedap hati dah keluar daripada mulut dia. Dan dia tanya mak dia, like, what? And then mak dia pun initially I think tak berapa tahu apa nak cakap, tak bersedia. Bukan dia tak tahu tentang keadaan Timur or whatever. And then mak dia pun tak, it's like actually dalam keluarga dia bukan orang yang tidak biasa lah dengan orang autistik dan sebagainya. But after that, but I was still there, everything was still there. So I decided to say, I said, come, what about you ask me the question? I'm okay with it. Tak apa, tanya je lah. Kan? So he was like, what? Why did he do that? Like, I don't understand. So lepas tu saya cakap, Uma doesn't talk very much. It's hard for him to use his words. And actually that was his way of coming to say hello to me. And sometimes like some people will like salam, shake hands, high five, and I mean, we're family. You might not do that with somebody who's not family, but he bumps for his forehead to my forehead. That's his way of like saying hello. And he was like, oh, it was like a forehead bump. I think dia macam, sebab mungkin dia tak berapa nampak, dia tak tahu macam mana kenapa dapat sangat muka anak saya ni pada muka saya. But to shorten it, I think after I explained, and after that, his mother later told me, he was like, oh, that was kind of cool. It was like, they showed like they were really close. How come we don't do something like that? Which is like unique and special. So
like a
that was like
Maris.
something that changed daripada satu tanggapan, hingga menjadi, pandangan yang kira totally the opposite of that. Right? So that I will kind of always remember because it happened right in front of me, and I'm glad I got to be able to tell him. Imagine a situation where katalah dia dah nampak daripada jauh dan dia fikir entah apalah macam-macam, atau dia kata and then he starts thinking that something that is like lots of autistic people do, and that is like maybe gross or menjijikkan, macam tak elok, tak sesuai, that kind of thing. But we got to deal with it, thankfully. So I think it's because of situations like that kita nak membuka topik ni lah pada malam ni. Didi nak share your own experience ke of questions yang you dah lazim dengar, ataupun moment like that lah. For me, I had that one moment yang memang I akan ingat lah sampai sekarang. Maybe you have as well, as you ask us the same question.
Anak saya kan 2 orang yang ada diagnosis yang sama. So masa Amy anak kedua masuk tahun 1 di sekolah yang sama dengan Alfia, ada kawan Alfia satu kelas lah, classmate Alfia. Masa tu mereka sudah tahun 3. Jadi dia tanya, makcik, kenapa dengan adik Alfia? So saya cakap lah, adik dia pun ada autism macam Alfia. So and then budak dia cakap, tapi dia comel.
Alfia pun comel.
Itulah. Tapi masa tu kan Alfia dah darjah 3, Amy baru darjah 1 kan. So yang itu yang tak menyakitkan hati lah. But that's the thing. Semua orang pun pasti bila kita keluar bersosial, jumpa dengan ahli keluarga, jumpa dengan kawan-kawan ataupun dengan sesiapa sajalah, pasti lepas bertahun-tahun akan dapat remark macam ni daripada kanak-kanak. Jadi perasaan tu, ialah ada ketika kita akan rasa lebih negatif daripada biasa, ada ketika kita akan rasa lebih bersedia macam apa yang SK cakap tadilah. Dan ada masa kita rasa tak selesa, rasa nak marah, rasa sedih pun ada dan rasa defensif. Macam, apa ni tanya-tanya macam ni? Betul tak?
Yep. Betul.
And sebenarnya kita pun perlu memahamilah di sebalik soalan-soalan daripada anak-anak kecil ini. Jadi, jom kita bincangkan tentang the reasons behind it. Kenapa ada remark-remark macam ni daripada kanak-kanak?
Bagi saya, actually, that curiosity dari anak-anak ni is an opportunity for awareness. So, like what Nori mentioned just now kan, bila dia dapat faham what that picture look like,
Apa sebenarnya yang berlaku actually.
that allows this awareness, the context of why this individual do that. Yeah, the why is why they do that, kan? Because they didn't understand. So again, the opportunity for guiding them, teaching them, explaining that action is one way of greeting. Itulah, I think is a opportunity to learn.
Yeah, because dia datang daripada sifat ingin tahu. And then kita memang nak menyebut tentang kanak-kanak ni sebab dia kalaulah bukan ingin tahu. Okay, kalau bukan curiosity, I would say because kanak-kanak dia belum lagi memegang prejudice terlalu lama. Right? So kita ada peluang untuk mengubah fikiran. Also, kanak-kanak ni memang kerana dia masih ke sekolah, so dia akan selalu bersosial. So dia akan berjumpa dengan ramai kanak-kanak yang lain kan. So I feel like addressing the kids, there's an opportunity, like this is a different way of being able to make a positive impact or difference in the world. Kan we always try to say that whenever kita talk about awareness, kita nak meningkatkan kesedaran, kita nak meningkatkan tahap kefahaman orang di keliling kita, kerana kita nak membawa kepada action, right? So dengan kanak-kanak pun harapan tu tetap ada juga because they can also be the agents for change.
Absolutely. Belum prejudice lagi lah.
Yes, belum. Usually belum. And I think kalau ia pun tidaklah terlalu lama atau memegang kepada benda-benda yang dah dibudayakan. I think belum sampai tahap tu lagi lah. Usually dia just nak tahu atau mungkin tak biasa. Dia belum terdedah kepada keadaan seperti itu. So initially is maybe like, surprised. Right? So belum lagi sampai pada satu tahap di mana dia mungkin ada pengalaman negatif atau dah mendengar entah apalah macam-macam. Kalau ada pun memanglah dia akan belajar daripada the older people. So let's be the other kind of older people yang boleh memberi mereka maklumat yang lebih tepat.
I think one thing that I always remember is sebab kalau Niraf dulu diajak main kan, dia nak bermain seorang instead of in the group. So ada yang datang mengadu, "Auntie, I asked him to come and play. He doesn't want to play with me. Can you ask him to play with me?"
Yes,
that always used to come out. Can you ask him because we need 2 more people in the team. We want him to play with us. Sebab tak cukup orang.
Ya, tak cukup orang. So siapa je lah kan. Tak ada seorang ni kat sini tak nak join.
So that used to happen. Can you ask him for us? Because he's not answering when we ask him. So benda macam tu I selalu kena. So I have to explain. Sometimes he doesn't like playing with a group. But why? We want to play with him.
They really don't understand.
They don't understand.
Yeah, they really don't understand, right? So there are these very, very natural reasons. I feel it's very natural reasons berbandingkan dengan it's like, something has already been planted there. Because sifat ingin tahu ataupun keadaan di mana mereka betul-betul tak faham ataupun tak pernah terdedah kepada sesuatu. That's like things that is quite natural because it depends juga kan kepada latar belakang. And then dia bergaul dengan siapa, apakah keadaan keluarga dia, bersekolah di mana, like so those are things that we can address quite easily by taking a little bit of time.
Actually, Nori, it's better to catch them dalam sifat mau tahu,
Mhm.
because the other one is mungkin they are afraid. Yeah.
Yes,
Because
that's possible also.
If we
Takut.
don't guide, that away, the fear, that is going to be more negative. Yeah. However, if they come from their fear, we then have the opportunity to assure, to explain, so that it can turn around the other way. Kan? As we know, as we grow older, it is the fear that causes more harm, more prejudice, yang semua yang not
Benda-benda
so
negatif ni.
Yeah,
betul.
Yeah. So the opportunity of that curiosity is much better than to build in fear. Kan?
Yes.
I found that those kids that came from an inclusive preschool were much kinder in primary school because they learned to coexist dengan anak-anak neurodivergent and dia orang akan jawab, just like that, leave him alone, they will come back. Macam dia akan menjadi
Dia dah
advocate.
tahu. Betul.
Sebab
Pengalaman dia dah ada kan.
Sebab dia tahu jangan kacau, just jangan kacau. Atau tapi mereka tak akan give up tau. Dia orang juga ada yang akan pergi pada masa yang tertentu untuk ajak dulu. So they are not the sort to completely disregard them because they learn to coexist, and sometimes they learn to think, let me try now. I may succeed. I may not always be the rejected one.
No, but we want that balance sebenarnya kan.
Yeah, we do.
Kita tak nak lah sampai tahap di mana kita kata okay lah kita tak hirau. Or like tak ambil kisah, nothing. This like we don't want that either, right? So we have to find that balance. But it is true, bila dah ada pengalaman, dah ada pendedahan, maklumat yang elok, I tell you, really these are the kids yang itulah, yang the kind kids.
Well, that's the power of inclusion kan.
Yeah.
Sebenarnya dalam kelas inklusif ataupun community atau tempat main inklusif, the ones that get to learn sebenarnya are the anak-anak typical. Correct?
Yes.
They get we say exposure. Yeah?
That's why inclusion is a plus for everybody. It's not yang memerlukan penerimaan.
Yeah.
It's also for those to learn, right? To learn all the good things we always talk about lah.
To live in diversity.
Yes. And that will add on not just the kindness and the empathy and the compassion, but also like critical thinking, problem solving, dealing with unexpected situation, things that you don't know. So inclusion is really good for everybody.
Yeah, teamwork with people who are not of the same caliber as you, and I think that's an essential life skill. Ya, sebab bukan semua orang dalam satu pasukan atau di tempat kerja mempunyai kelebihan yang sama ataupun kebolehan yang sama. Ada yang berlainan. So
pandangan yang sama, nilai yang sama, budaya yang sama. Actually a lot of differences.
Tekak yang sama untuk makan.
Yes, but that's how we like to remind everybody of the opposite of that. All the things that we have in common actually, right? So actually that's one way kan Didi for us to, when we talk to the little people, all the teeny tiny human beings, it's to kind of remind them of the things that are the same while we are talking to them about things that are different, right?
Yes.
I think it's important to do that juga. Yeah.
So you have
And
all
I
these
think
little ones. You have all these little ones, Didi. Like bila you katalah birthday Ofia ke, birthday Emi ke, you bawa cake ke, bawa biskut ke apa, will be the same ones that will keep going out like, it's your birthday, happy birthday, thank you. So anak-anak neurodivergent pun rasa macam
What are you talking about? What? Say that again.
no, they feel included because everybody, if you throw a birthday party, let's say for a neurodivergent, and all the other kids come up to them and say, thank you, it's your birthday, I like this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. Sorry, that's true.
Yeah, it's
Betul,
really
betul.
That's really genuine.
Yeah,
This
kids,
birthday celebration je lah. Let's celebrate. Right?
Yeah, let's celebrate. And the
I love that.
neurodivergents feel like they are the center of attention.
And you want to tackle it from that age lah, because sorry, when you get to the older kid and teenage kids or whatever, that's when the
divide comes in.
yes, and I'm not going to that birthday party. Or all the not nice things lah. Okay, all the stuff about so strange, so I don't like that. Like not the same. I mean, that kind of stuff can happen because we
I don't want to
deal
go
with the
because
better
someone else is going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one will just, I think, kind of naturally occur when they're trying to just find their own footing, their own friends, things they like. So it doesn't help if on top of that adalah situasi dengan orang-orang lain yang dia lagi tak faham, lagilah dia akan reject sebenarnya.
So that's all the
Yeah.
training. I think it's very easy to use the word inclusion. Tapi sebenarnya I think the children get the opportunity to expand their tolerance of their difference. Yeah, it becomes normal, becomes typical. You know,
Yeah,
that
exactly. We
people
want him to be
are odd,
normal.
people are different.
That's what human beings are like.
So it's very powerful. So let the cute little ones ask all the funniest. Well, we can say funniest or the oddest, maybe even the most embarrassing question.
Yeah, kita jangan melenting. Kan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didi, you were saying something when I cut you off. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. So basically like kids kan, beza kanak-kanak dengan dewasa is expectation level. It means that kita punya expectation bila dewasa ni lebih rigid. Kalau dah kita expect macam tu, nak macam tu je. Bila lain je, itu yang susah orang nak terima kan, all these differences. But for the kids, usually they are still flexible with their expectations. Memanglah expectation dia, perlu bermain bersama-sama. Kenapa tak nak main? Like, awak kanak-kanak, saya kanak-kanak, jomlah have fun together kan. Tapi, bila diterangkan, then they get to understand, sebab ni, mereka lebih mudah menerima dibandingkan dengan orang dewasa. Sebab tu, when we create awareness also, it's different lah the way we talk to the adult. And now, today we are talking about how, later lah in the next part, we're going to talk about how kita nak reply, kita nak respond kepada apa yang kanak-kanak ni tanya. Tapi kan ada ketikanya, soalan-soalan atau remark kanak-kanak ni, macam menyakitkan hati juga. Yang ada mungkin menyentuh perkara yang private, lebih privacy ataupun melampaui batas. So macam mana tu? Kita nak react macam mana?
Jawab basic dulu. And then I ignore the rest.
Bagi contoh.
Okay. Kalau dia tanya, why is he like that? Did this really happen? Does he do that with everybody? Is it just me? How is he with his brother? So it's like,
What's he like at home?
yeah,
Yeah.
those
So-
sort of things. So you start off with the basic things. Oh, he's different, and he likes to play by himself. There are times he likes to play with his siblings, but there are lots of times he likes to play by himself. And then stop. And then kalau nak tanya lebih tu, ulang balik benda yang sama.
Yeah, you don't have to give more information. And sometimes memang actually it is good to keep the basic information, and sometimes you have to repeat because it's a child.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
I think it's okay. Yeah, kita satu kita tak nak melenting dan kita tak nak panik atau marah, tapi yang keduanya tak perlulah juga kita rasa macam sekarang ni kita nak kena bagi taklimat tentang anak kita dan segala jenis kecenderungan dan ciri-ciri sebagai seorang ADHD. Like you don't have to do that. Yeah, and private information can always still be kept private, right? I think little kids also can understand and go, that's private.
Yeah.
Right? Or like, I'm not sure I should answer that question. I think it's okay juga. But you have to be able to
Give the
say
basic
something.
basic
You can't,
information.
you shouldn't like, jangan tanyalah. It's like, who taught you to ask this question? Where's your mother? I mean, no lah. Because you want the child to learn something positive. Dah dia tanya, as kakak said, there's peluang, opportunity tu dah ada. You don't want them to accidentally learn, cannot ask questions ever about anything. And anytime there's a family like this, they are very sensitive.
Yeah.
Don't talk to them. That's terrible, right? And in that case, we would have, maybe itu bukan niat kita, itu bukan hasrat kita, but we would have kind of like accidentally added on to the negative assumptions about, people with disabilities or people who are neurodivergent and things like that.
Yeah.
So we have to be mindful first lah. But I gotta agree that sometimes, wow, soalan tu rasa macam memang tajam lah. Dan kita pun memang sensitif lah.
Betul.
Sebab mungkin kadang-kadang the
Penat.
truth is we used to think like that. Penat satu. But we used to probably think about those things before we had our kids also,
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
suppose responsinya, we have to be watching age appropriate lah. Like what
Also, yes.
kan? As Anit said
5-year-old
earlier,
tanya dengan 10-year-old tanya lain.
lain kan?
Yeah.
Then we can explain in much concrete for the little ones, right? And maybe when they go to more school age, primary school ke, the explanation or although feeling hurt, I like what you said that meeting expectation. So in a way, many ways we have to rely on orang dewasa punya sensibility. Tapi as we all know, there's much awareness for even the adults, kan? So, but for the parents who are already actually parents of neurodiverse families, this is a great opportunity, kan?
Yeah.
Whether we call it advocate ke, whatever it is, that isn't. We look at it as response kami, try to take it as an opportunity.
So there's a different angle. Ada yang datang and tiba-tiba cakap, I didn't do anything and he's crying.
Yeah.
What did I do?
I still put that in the category of doesn't understand but wants to know.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I think that still belongs under that category though.
Yeah.
So it was not like a question, but it was a situation that you have to deal with lah. Same thing, I think. Right? You kind of respond the same way. Bagilah the basic essential information. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I prefer many occasions, kan Didi. I will hear even in schools that are inclusive. That means they have neurodiverse children in the classroom. Oftentimes, I still hear even the teenagers, they don't ask questions. They, like what you said earlier, Nori, the other side is when their neurodiverse friends are in the class, they don't engage. I think that is a lost opportunity lah bagi saya.
No, because again, by the time you get to the teenage years, there's a lot of other things at play. Right? So that's why we don't want to miss the kanak-kanak stage.
Yeah. Absolutely. Ask more.
Yep. Okay, ladies, let's take a short break, and later we will continue with the discussion. Kembali ke bahagian kedua, topik hari ini ialah kempen kesedaran kepada anak-anak kecil, kanak-kanak. So kita selalu cakap
Campaign mentang-mentang lah. Kita banyak PRN. Boleh.
Ya, Didi pun nak berkempen juga sebenarnya. Tapi bukan senang tau nak berkempen kepada anak-anak kecil.
Ya.
Kita dah ada podcast 100 episod ni pun, belum lagi kita buat podcast untuk kanak-kanak. Tapi hari ni kita masih lagi untuk ibu bapa, tapi untuk ibu bapa lebih bersedia macam mana nak berkempen, nak meluaskan kesedaran tentang diagnosis anak-anak kita ni terhadap kanak-kanak. So, sebab kan bila kita mendapat remark, kita mendapat reaksi, kita mendapat soalan daripada kanak-kanak ni, kita perlu bersedia sebab bukan mudah untuk kita simplify apa yang kita tahu, apa yang kita faham kepada bahasa yang mudah difahami oleh anak-anak kecil. Jadi itulah macam mana cara kita untuk respond. Kan bila anak-anak
Kita sendiri kena bersedia
bertanya,
dulu,
kan?
Kita lah sendiri kena tahu maklumat yang penting. Kita sendiri yang ada tahap kesedaran yang sepatutnya, right? So I mean it will start from there actually. Because macam mana kita nak terangkan kepada seseorang lain tentang apa-apa pun kalau kita sendiri tak tahu. But they also say that when you get to a point that you can explain a topic to somebody else, that's mastery lah. That means kita dah tahu benda tu. Kita dah betul-betul memahami, not just like oh, I can kind of recall or answer the question or I faham that concept. Tapi kalau I dapat menerangkan konsep ini kepada seseorang lain secara, in a way like mengajar lah. Let's talk about that. It's also teaching or educating, not just campaign, but I mean in the context of teaching and educating, then memang kena bermula dengan kita sendirilah.
Yeah.
It's all about the mindset, as Nori says. Sebab kadang-kadang bila ditanya soalan itu, kita pun terkejut and we can be lost for words. I remember being lost for words 1 or 2 times. Sebab ada kalanya rasa kita nak just pick up the kid and just leave. Or you want the ground to open up and say, I don't want to answer this question now.
Yeah.
Tapi
It's true.
Tapi
Or it became your everyday for a while that you even kind of like forgot kan.
Yes.
Benda tu dah macam, or you take it for granted, or just because it's so part of your life that suddenly somebody asks you and you're like, what? Wait?
yeah, like
It's
hello.
yeah.
You mean you don't see what I see?
Actually sebenarnya sometimes as parents we forget to prepare for our own children, your other children. So although the word campaign did he use is about just generally anak-anak or kanak-kanak. I remember being asked and wasn't prepared. Okay? So
By your other child?
yes,
Okay.
because they asked, is Joshua like this?
Yep.
So I remember not being prepared.
I was asked once, can he get better?
Oh,
Yeah, and
that
that was-
is a hard question.
That was a hard question, and that
But
was
that's
by a
our
kid.
own question.
Yes.
That's a question that we have in our minds too, right?
Yes.
For a long time.
Because it was
Yeah.
almost like, he doesn't want to play today. Oh, so he's not well? When will he get better? Can he play tomorrow? So mereka tak putus asa. Mereka nak cuba lagi, nak cuba untuk include, nak cuba ajak anak tu main lagi. So macam kita nak jawab tu, alah, when will he get better? When his mood is okay. But you can't tell that to a kid. And so those sort of things
I
are
think
hard
the mood
questions.
is all right, but the one where you are sitting down, starting to think about life flashing in front of
Yes.
your eyes about how your child will be like this forever, ever. So suddenly like dah terbawa kepada benda lain pula. Kan, that's why sometimes it makes it so difficult untuk memberi respon yang sepatutnya bila kita terima, all these kind of different questions lah daripada kids especially. And then, again, the kids yang tak filter, the kids are very spontan, they're so natural, they will just ask you selurus-lurusnya. So that's also why we need to be a bit more prepared. Not just with our basic information enough to look after our child, but we owe it to our child also to have enough information and preparedness to be able to respond, to talk about them, right? To advocate for them, to make the world better for them.
So Nori, I think I also want to assure the newer parents, it is part of the journey. Kalau
Yes.
belum prepare, jangan don't worry jangan risau sangat. Because then start preparing. It is important that we are able to help educate, bring in the positive side of those questions. Kan?
And that one terkejut, tak prepare moment will probably motivate you to be more prepared next time lah. So it's okay. We've all done it. We've all done pernah,
More than
terima
once.
all that kind of question and things like that. I think I talked in an older episode about, this was again like, same situation as you, Kaka. It was a sibling that was asking me, it's like, how come I don't have therapy? Poor guy. Surrounded by relatives who have therapy. So actually the neurotypicals in my house are like less than the neurodivergents sometimes, So keluar lah. Soalan macam tu was like, oh, how come I don't have therapy? Then I had to think about it to check up. Well, therapy is a way of learning something, especially for the things that are not easy to learn that other people might find easy to learn, or you expect it to kind of happen. You think it's going to happen, but some people need more support and help. So they go to learn that thing. Then I think I said something like that. And finally the 5-year-old was like, oh, so is taekwondo my therapy? And then I think by that time I was also a bit, I was just like, yes.
That's a lovely way of
Yes.
embracing it kan
Yes.
sebenarnya.
Yeah.
It's a lovely way. And sometimes memang
Learn the things I don't know how to do. It'll come naturally.
I will say
Punching and kicking? Okay.
yeah,
I'm
therapy
okay with
is a
that.
specialist tuition lah kan.
Yeah,
Kan?
yes.
It's really important to get kids involved sebab lepas mereka dah tahu, kalau kita explain lah, this is for new parents kan, kalau kita tak cakap apa anak kita boleh buat ataupun tak boleh buat tu kepada anak lain, mereka ni will get intrigued and mereka akan cuba tahu. They try to be like the fixers to fix it. And if they do, auntie today he shared his food with me. I ada benda tu. So to them that is a big thing sebab yang
That's nice because that's how you get your support, right?
Anet, I think that's a big thing for mama too kan.
yes.
So we
Betul.
celebrate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's only if you talk to other children that they will come and give you feedback. Sometimes they akan lari datang. So I remember sometimes going during break time and today Nirav shared his food with me. I got some too. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no, it's a very cool thing when they become interested and you know they really might become your fellow allies
Yes.
and your
eyes
potentially
and
to the
ears. Yeah.
potentially to that level of that, you know, kind of being a little mini advocate as well. That's fantastic, right?
And that does happen with time. With time.
Actually
Lagi
sebenarnya
satu kan, I think kita perlu fikir juga bila kita mau prepare kan untuk jawab tentang diagnosis anak kita ataupun apa yang anak kita hadapi ialah think of it tentang anak kita secara personal, secara individu. Janganlah cakap dia autistik. Autistik mempunyai 3 cabaran utama iaitu 1, 2, 3. It has to be specific lah apa kesukaran yang anak kita hadapi, apa challenges dia kan. Tak adalah genre. Sebab like for myself kan bila ada 2 anak autistik, the way I explain Afia macam mana, Amy macam mana, memang lain. And memang ada juga yang bertanya, especially cousins dia kan, kenapa tak sama pun? Kan? Why Afia is like this, Amy is like this. So I think perlu fikir tentang anak-anak kita sebagai individu rather than just a statistic. Salah seorang autistik.
Absolutely.
Kan?
Actually sebenarnya something has come to my mind
Okay.
Didi, as you mentioned campaign. How about school can invite little children to ask questions? During Autism Learning Week, you know, there's a neurodiversity.
Yeah, actually, why don't we have that angle rather than poster-poster rata-rata,
Betul.
we just shoot out the info.
And
I don't know whether we have that, given them the opportunity to ask every question that they have.
It would be so cute, kan, that these children, even I think from kindergarten, can be asked to ask questions,
Yeah.
right?
Candidly,
Yes.
honestly,
Mhm.
because even a not pleasant question is better coming from a cutie paila.
Yes.
Kan?
Yeah.
It's
And-
easier than having to deal with like the same kind of words coming out of adults' mouth. Like if you hear words like okay, sorry, I'm just gonna say some of these words. Retarded, handicap, all of that. Like I think it is, I don't know, maybe a little more blunt in terms of softer kind of thing from a child.
I'm
than,
thinking more authentic, kan, sebenarnya. If there is any classroom teacher listening in,
Mhm.
try it out. Give the children as part of radio time ke, you know, create some activity
to
for
give them
awareness.
to
Yes.
give them that chance to ask the
Yes.
burning questions, right?
It can be fun
Yeah.
and it's more natural bila anak-anak this because they will just ask the way it is, right? The children.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Let's see if I
And
can
that's the
suggest
call
that.
to
Mm.
kindergarten, to primary school.
To all
I-
schools.
And then you can
Oh.
get your questions and you will be prepared. Because it will not come out of the blue. Tiba-tiba bila you tengah carry segala jenis entah apa barang, dekat tengah-tengah kantin, panas, whatever. Dan time tu dia dapat soalan yang susah nak jawab. So kali ni, kalau kita dah ada sesi di mana semua orang boleh tanya segala-galanya, kita memang insyaAllah dah prepare lah.
Yeah.
I think the
I like
kids,
that, Kakak. I like that.
The kids will make it fun, very embracing,
Yeah.
and ada campaign lah ya, Diti. Campaign.
Yeah.
That was really campaign style. Boleh kita guna perkataan campaign dalam konteks itu. Yes.
Betul.
Campaign
Tapi tadi kakak ada
inclusion
cakap
di
tadi.
sekolah.
Kakak cakap tentang kalau kita tak membantu anak-anak ni tak menjawab soalan dengan sebaik-baiknya, mungkin curiosity dia boleh turns into teasing, bullying. Perhaps boleh explain sikit macam mana. Because I know there are times macam, kids kan trying to have fun with anak-anak kita, tapi mungkin bila copy tu jadi mocking pula kan. Macam mana tu?
Betul. That's why ada facilitation from wiser adults.
Yeah.
Kan?
Yeah.
So AJ tu pun is an opportunity in that environment to guide
Mhm.
kan? And to expose. So
Yeah.
then it's safer. Again, looking at the positive side, turn it around to be a learning moment.
So I want to just illustrate something that I saw. Sebab kadang-kadang anak-anak neurodivergent ni dia ada favourite fidget toy ke, party, something to squeeze yang dia perlu untuk self-regulation. Cara budak-budak lain ejek tu bukannya nak ejek, tapi mereka pun nak party itu. Atau nak fidget toy itu. Atau nak benda yang sama sebab macam best je budak ni. Asyik-asyik ada something yang dia boleh fiddle, yang boleh bagi dia sensory. Tapi the act of taking away that item boleh menjadikan satu meltdown dan boleh dianggap sebagai bullying ataupun ejek sebab dia really put them in a total imbalance and they lose it, right? So kadang-kadang kalau tidak diberitahu secara eksplisit bahawa perkara ini atau benda ini digunakan untuk self-regulate, ia boleh menjadi satu cabaran kepada guru kelas dan juga kepada anak neurodivergent sendiri.
Yeah. I also think sometimes, like Kakak said lah, we have to see if we can flip the situation. Because sometimes it will come from, oh, why does he talk like that?
Yeah.
Or something, right? And so that's when it, bila kita dapat soalan dalam nada macam tu pun, that is something that could be triggering to us.
Yes.
Right? But again, it's usually will come back to the same kind of thing, and we still need to respond to that question by explaining the facts and not to get upset and not to say, well, that was quite rude. I don't think you should be saying things like that. I think you have to, I think kita kena menahan diri lah juga. We have to find that sort of patience and our own regulation and calm to still give a response to that situation dan soalan atau situasi seperti itu juga still should be addressed, right? And
Yes,
then
definitely.
you talk about things like sometimes you can say or turn it back to them to something that they like or something that has to do with them and ask if they would feel comfortable or happy with somebody else
Taking away their favorite pencil or their
or
ruler
making fun of something that they like and things like that.
or their colouring.
So whatever the situation is to sort of make it relatable and still kita memang kena jawab lah soalan macam tu even though it's like bullying. I think one other important thing, Didi, probably as we round up the whole thing is to talk about not forgetting our own kids as we talk about our kids, right? Especially kalau dia orang pun hadir di situ juga. If they're there, like, wow, you're talking sometimes I think parents, we do have this habit, nothing to do with our kids being Andy or not. Anak kita ada kat situ, tapi kita talk about them as if dia tak ada kat situ.
You.
Atau in the third person. So I think that's one thing that we should be mindful about when we are explaining to somebody else, because kita selalunya speaking on behalf of our kids, right? So I'd like to hear from the rest of you, but I think my personal policy is janganlah cakap benda-benda tentang seseorang yang kita tak sanggup menyebut pada dia kalau dia ada betul-betul. You know? Betul-betul depan kita. You know? Mata hidung dia ada kat situ. So if you are not going to say something that you are willing to say to the person's face, don't say it. Don't say it. It shouldn't be like, oh, kalau dia ada cakap macam ni, kalau dia tak ada cakap macam ni. For me, it's just, you know, consider the thing about respect and dignity, and that person is there, whether they are speaking, non-speaking, whatever level of support they need. If they are, you know, autistic and all that, you still must be quite mindful.
You have
And
to
if
be
they're there, bring
kind,
them into
kan?
the conversation. Yes, kind always. Okay,
Mindful
I'll
and kind.
send that to you. Yeah.
Not just kind, consistent too.
Okay.
Right? So like
Yep.
consistent, because as Nori said it so well, the language has to be the same whether they're there or not.
Yeah.
So if you're consistent with that, you use kind words, maybe one day the neurodivergent kid will learn to use those same words that you have used.
That's true. And if the opportunity is there, maybe you could bring them into the conversation. Like say,
Absolutely.
oh, maybe he can answer that question.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you
Or-
have a question? Maybe he can kind of answer. Maybe you thought he was shy. Let me help him out. You know, like, and
Facilitate.
you have to see. So again, then it will go back to Didi's point about being personal with things, right? Depends on the individual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Betul. So macam janganlah mengata anak kita kan. And then also mindful that children will repeat whatever we say to them. Kalau kita tak sanggup,
Literally.
ya, kalau kita tak
Literally,
sanggup anak, ya, kalau dia ulang pada orang lain, kita tak sanggup, janganlah guna kata-kata yang tak sesuai. Jadi perlu berhati-hati.
Yeah. And then lepas tu ditambah pula bila dia dah cerita balik benda tu, but his mom said this. Allah, habis.
So anak-anak tu sebenarnya is our best teachers, kan?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when they ask questions, opportunity untuk dia curious, and the borderline of being rude to bullying, that is the degree. Sama ada we are there to role model, to guide. Itulah responsi kami.
Yep. That's our responsibility also,
As well.
and our need to tingkatkan kita punya kemahiran and increase our own toolbox as well, right? That's what we learn from that situation, as well as building some thicker skin. Jangan sensitif sangat.
Okay, so oleh itu saya nak melancarkan satu kempen. Jom. Dalam media sosial kami, iaitu kita ada di Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, silalah komen, tinggalkan contoh-contoh soalan daripada kanak-kanak yang pernah anda terima, dan kongsi juga respon yang anda berikan. Jom kita belajar sama-sama supaya semua kita akan lebih bersedia apabila mendapat soalan-soalan, reaksi-reaksi daripada kanak-kanak ni. Taklah masih blank ataupun masih sakit hati, masih rasa macam diamlah, jangan tanya kan.
Yes,
itu-
insyaAllah.
I look forward to
Yes.
all those response.
Yes.
Ya, kita nak belajar gitu kan.
Ya.
Dan untuk mendengar episod penuh, kami ada di Spotify dan boleh tonton kami di YouTube. Ada pesanan-pesanan daripada kakak-kakak saya malam ni?
I'm
Ada.
good.
Tak ada.
Thank you.
Let anak-anak be curious lah, biar dia curiga, so that ada opportunity untuk belajar bersama-sama.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't have ill intention kan. They just macam, betul, curious. Walaupun kadang-kadang pedas, kadang-kadang rasa macam ouch kan. Tapi insyaAllah lepas episod ni, dengan respon-respon daripada pendengar dan penonton kita, semua kita lebih bersedia dan kita boleh meneruskan kempen kesedaran kepada anak-anak ini. Oleh itu, thank you very much and keep supporting us, keep watching us, listening to us on all platforms. And with that, bye.
Bye.
Bye.